Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Change Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Harvick, and this is Insights to Empowerment. And I have a lady here today that's really going to empower you. I want to tell you just a bit about her. She is an alignment alchemist. I have to say that real slow because they're long words. But anyway, what does she specialize in? In Eastern modalities. She helps her clients clear emotional and energetic blocks. And one thing I do know is that throughout life, there is no way we can get away being clean and clear. So this is a lady you're going to want to meet. Would you please welcome Tory Sachs? Hi, Tory. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited too because the last time Tori was on, I had some really bad glitches and she didn't get to tell her whole story. So you people watching or are going to watch are in for a treat. So Tori, tell us about yourself and how you got into this. How did you name that? How did you get inspired by Eastern modalities?
Yeah, I got inspired really through my own experience and my life, through allergies. And people are like,
Mm.
"What?" You think like maybe I had like a spiritual awakening or something, but no, it was something as basic as I was having really bad sinus infections. And so I went to the allergist and they said, "Hey, like if you get another one, you're going to need to get allergy shots like 3 times a week." And I was just like so overwhelmed by that, and my body literally said no. And that's when I was like, okay, there has to be another way. And from that, I had a friend who was going to an Ayurvedic practitioner. And at first I was like, yeah, that sounds like not for me. But I said, okay, like I'll check in with you in a month. And then I did. And I heard about the amazing things that were happening with her in her life. So I was like, well, if she is going through these shifts, then I can go through some of these. And so from there, I learned about Ayurveda, and Ayurveda led me to learning about Vedic astrology or Jyotish. And then from there, I learned about Reiki and just then crystals, and it kind of just snowballed. And so that's how the Eastern modalities have really impacted me. And then I call myself an alignment alchemist because it's really about bringing alignment back into all bodies, right? Not just the physical body, but also the mental, spiritual, energetic, ancestral, emotional. And then I also work on really anything that holds energy, like animals
Mm.
and spaces and places. And then alchemist is because instead of telling you all the things I specialize in, I can literally pick from all my resources and bring you into alignment instead of being like, oh, well, come in for a Reiki session or come in for a crystal healing. Like this way, you're getting everything. And I don't have to just specialize in one because you really might need a little blend of everything. And it feels just a little bit more magical.
And it really is more magical because I often do the same things. And it's like, I can't just tell you I'm a Reiki master because there's so many things that come along with that. And I'm curious, a lot of times when I do my Reiki, I see people's past lives. Do you ever have that experience?
Yes, I do all the time. I get flashes all the time. And it's funny, like I have a friend who changed her hair. And with her changing her hair, I actually have seen more of her past lives than when she had a different hairstyle because I don't know, there's something with that that just comes through. Also, with crystal healing, there is like specific protocols to help with past life regression, but also future life, and then going back to the womb as well.
That it's so amazing to me. Now, if someone were just starting their journey, is there a particular crystal you would recommend them starting with? I mean, I love all crystals,
Yeah.
but for a beginner, how would you tell them to start?
Yeah, so like you, I love all crystals. They're like my friends. They talk to me all the time. So I would say for again, there's a lot of crystals that are trending, and if you're new to crystals or new to this work, like some of the trending ones are going to be a little bit more powerful, like malachite and black obsidian. I don't recommend for everyone. So I would say like my top 3 that I feel like everyone should have in their toolkit, you might even want to get more than one, is selenite, black tourmaline, and hematite. And just briefly, why? So selenite is one that cleanses itself. We don't have to cleanse it. It is a bringer of light, and it cleanses all crystals. And it also cleanses ourselves. So like we can do selenite wandings on ourselves, on animals, and in spaces to clear energy. It is an amplifier. So any crystal or anything that holds energy, it will amplify that energy. And then it's also very protective. So like if you know you're going to go into a meeting that might be a little intense or have a conversation with someone, holding that is going to not only ground you, but it's going to bring in that white light to raise your vibration. Black tourmaline is going to absorb all negativity. It's of the black ray. So it's protective, it's shielding, but it pushes out positivity. That's what I love about it. It's very therapeutic. So it's literally taking weight off your shoulder that maybe you had, and it's helping you really kind of feel calm, feel like let that go. And then hematite is also very shielding. It helps raise the immune system, and it helps us connect with the Earth Star chakra located below our feet. So really, it is one that helps us connect to the 3D, especially when it is so easy to disconnect and be out of body. And then there is something powerful that happens with the connection of black tourmaline and hematite. They just have this beautiful partnership that amplifies that shielding and protection. So if you're an empath like me, or you're someone that just doesn't want to take on other people's stuff, that it's going to protect you and shield you. And so it's going to make sure that you don't take that stuff on from others.
That's very, very important. Now, I'm curious, have you ever worked with moldavite?
I have. It took me actually a while to build up to working with moldavite. It is a very intense and powerful and transformational crystal, but it's not one I actually work with when I'm girding people typically. It's typically just one for myself, but I was actually at the Denver Gem Show a few years ago, and I was like, if I see moldavite, because there's a lot of counterfeit out there, and it calls to me, I'm gonna get it, and I did, and it's just been wonderful.
Yeah, and working with crystals like I have, I mean, everything's alive. Everything's alive. Have you ever had your crystals just disappear?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I tell people that mine are really cheeky, and they all have like, they're like different personalities, like people, right? So, I've literally known that a crystal was sitting there, and then it likes to play hide and seek with me. And I've literally said to it, look, like, I don't have time for you to be hiding. I need you to show yourself. And since you're also in Reiki, like I will call in certain Reiki symbols to help me find a crystal if it's being like really cheeky. I'm like, okay, I know that this is fun, but like I need you to come back. And we actually talk about that a lot in my crystal healing training. We talked about crystals having the ability to disappear, even though they're still really there.
My daughter and I went to a gym show and she wanted to get started. So she bought like 5, and it happened to be a full moon that night. And she lined them up all outside on our front porch. And it had like a little wall, so no one could have seen them. And she got up in the morning and gone. And I said, well, try calling them back, but they never came. She was so disappointed. I'm like, maybe at another time or something, but who knows? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so crystals can time travel, and they can also kind of they work in portals, right? And they help us navigate portals. That's why they help us with, going back and doing past life regressions, or going back in the body, or going really to a different time if we need to do inner child healing. So they have the ability to speed things up and slow things down. And also I want to say, they might have still been there. They just maybe wanted to be in that energy and that environment and that frequency. And so they maybe just didn't want to be in physical form, because sometimes physical form can hold us back. So maybe they were always energetically with her. I always talk about how when crystals break, people are like, "Oh, my crystals don't work anymore." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. It can have many meanings. Like maybe it wants to be like, maybe you asked for the crystal to help you out more, right?" And so it's like it heard that and goes, "Okay, well, I need to break into a few pieces for you so you can put it through your house or maybe in your car or other areas, right?" Or maybe a crystal did break and it needs to be returned to the earth. Like I had a crystal break the other day, and
Mm.
actually this morning I got a message, "Oh, it needs to go in the backyard and help add some shielding and protection in the backyard." So, um, so many different things that they're communicating with us, but just because, and sometimes like I'll give away a crystal that I thought was for me, or I'll lose a crystal, and that just means that we're done working with it and it needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, I know tonight we're having a full moon, right? The strawberry moon.
Yes.
Tell us, what do you do on a full moon? How do you honor that full moon? And with each one comes a different, it's something different every single month. How do you honor that or work that into your practice?
Yeah, definitely. So, full moons are typically around releasing, and I have my moon both Vedically and tropically in the sign of Cancer. So I'm very connected to the moon and the moon cycles. So for me, it's really, and we're shooting this today on a Monday, which is ruled by the moon. So every single Monday is a moon day. So I would say, even if you're someone that is not so directly tied to ritual and ritual work, if you are connecting with your feminine energy, with mother, whether it's mother nature, um, intuition, those are all things of the moon. The water element is also connected to the moon. So it just depends. I've kind of changed my ritual up. I used to have not that many crystals, so I'd always put my crystals out in the full moon. And I typically still tell my family to. Like my brother asked me last night, "Okay, Tori, when's the full moon? Do I need to get these out?" Um, but I have so many that it's a little hard to get all the crystals out. Like, I mean,
You have
that
to
would
get
be
your wheelbarrow out, right?
exactly, exactly. And then I just want to say, because we are getting close to eclipse season, we're not quite there yet, but we'll be in eclipse season in August. I don't recommend putting any crystals out under the full moon, because that is a very chaotic and changeable energy. So there's already a lot going on. If you heard me say this and that doesn't resonate, hey, go do that. Like, please, like that is your wisdom. But for me, crystals for me are so grounding and healing, and especially with the work that I do, that is one time that I do not do it. But again, just connecting with intuition and myself. Sometimes I may journal about what I want to let go of. With this full moon in particular, it has, on the Vedic system, it has a lot of fire and water energy. So this may be a time when you want to do some ritual work around writing something down and burning it, or doing some fire gazing, because we are also in summer. Or maybe you just want to take a bath or a shower and visualize releasing. But we're also feeling that energy 3 days before and 3 days afterwards. So again, if you don't get immediately into the full moon energy when it hits tonight, then you still have time within a 72-hour period to do something to connect with releasing whatever that is for you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I plan to go out in it tonight. Hopefully it'll be a clear sky. We've been having storms here, so I don't know. But now, one of the things you do is you help your clients with emotional blocks.
Yes.
When a client comes to you, do they know they're blocked, or do you tell them they're blocked once you do a session with them?
So it just depends. We typically only, not only, but most of us typically pay attention to the physical, right? So, oh my gosh, like I saw something, I witnessed, and like my chest got tight. Oh my gosh, am I having a panic attack? Like, is something wrong with me? Do I need to go to the doctor? And a lot of times, what I found is it's really an emotion came up, or something got released, or a trauma got activated, right? Reactivated in the body. And that's why you're feeling this. And so it typically is tied, it can be tied to an emotion or something spiritually that you're not doing, or mentally, like all the other bodies, I would say, than the physical. But we only pay attention to or typically only pay attention to the physical body, and we're like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. But some clients know, some clients are like, hey, these are emotions that coming up. And other times, through asking, I always ask these three questions. How did you sleep? And if they tell me that they wake up during certain times, that gives me certain information, especially in the energetics with Chinese medicine. I ask how their elimination is. Like, is that satisfying? What is, because that's telling me if we're holding on to something, like if we're emotionally hoarding.
Mhm.
And I always ask how your digestion is, because that's also giving me information. And so through that, through just that little bit of information, we can then understand, okay, what is going on. And typically it is connected with emotions. For example, if someone is craving sweet foods, it is typically because there is a lack of joy, happiness, or sweetness in their life. And so they could be feeling grief and sadness around that. So having that information, even though you're having that craving, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have that craving. But this is powerful. This is giving us really juicy, good wisdom that we can use to then bring healing and facilitate transformation.
Yeah, that, and you know what I've noticed even with myself is that there's some things that we think we've taken care of, because I'll hear a lot of people say, well, I've already talked about that. And I don't believe talk therapy is that healing for us, because we carry so many things in our body. And I feel like there always needs to be some type of physical purge when something's so stuck inside of you. And I also noticed that things last year, 2025 was, a year of endings. And I just spent that whole year, things bubbling up, things, yeah, I thought I got rid of that years ago. So things that you think you've gotten rid of can actually still be lodged in your body, can't they?
Yes. Yes. And I
Yeah.
just want to say also, last year, it was not just a 9 year, it was the year of the snake. So it was that much more potent because we had the endings, and the snake is always shedding, right? Like the snake is
Mhm.
always releasing. So it was like we had
Mhm.
endings, and then we had like endings, like times two or three, like that potent. Um, but yeah, I agree with you, because things are, as I think, like stuck or lodged into the body. And so with the ability of like energy healing and energetics, we can, like Reiki, crystals, all the different things, we can then remove that from the body. Because if you keep talking about something, it might just be stuck in your throat chakra, for example, or it might be wanting to come out, but it is just still connected. Maybe like a cord cutting needs to be happened, right? Because it's still connected. Or we can really heal that trauma. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of times we talk about like layers, right? Like us being onions, and we need to keep peeling. And so if you're talking about a trauma that's like, we'll just say at layer 100, but you're only ready to release up to layer 10, then that's still going to be in the body until you're ready to get down to that layer.
It's so funny you bring that up, because when I was divorcing my husband, I had a lot of cord cutting to do, and I would envision it. I would go through the ceremony, the ritual, or whatever. The scissors would not cut it. It would just go back together every single time. And finally, after a while, I had to burn it. I had to burn it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you could do that. But my guys are like, no, you need to burn that. And finally I got rid of it. But there's always things that continue to come up sometimes. Now, would that be an energetic, or would that be an emotional block?
It really could be any block, any of those. It also could be that the sacred contract is not ready to fully end, or that there might be something still connected with that. And then if we look at it from like an astrological perspective, if you have any retrograde planets or we're in a retrograde of some form or fashion, that can be like past life karma or past life, depending on that planet, that still needs to get resolved. Um, yeah, I would also say, like, with cords that get cut, depending on how strong they are, right? They regrow. And so I always tell people I'm cutting, if I'm doing a cord cutting on someone, not everybody gets one because they're not always ready, right? But when I do a cord cutting, just know that it's the ones that aren't serving you, the ones that you're ready to release. And there could be that in the future we have to recut some of those cords.
Absolutely. And so when someone comes to you, explain the difference to our audience between emotional and energetic cords or trauma. Can you, I mean, for me, sometimes it's both.
It can be. Yeah, it can be for sure. So typically the way I look at it is emotional is connected to an actual emotion, a feeling, and it elicits something. Energetic could just literally be like, this is in my frequency. This is just, I don't know why. There is a push pull. Kind of think about it more like magnets needing to come together. And so maybe we need to reprogram those magnets, and maybe, one magnet needs to go away. But it's more of just like, so I think about it like an energetic one, for example. For me also is much more like with sacred contracts, like divine. This is
Mm.
like much more karmic. But think about that like, okay, so say someone was dating someone, they knew that this person was not good for them, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna break up with them, but they just really want to call them, they really want to text them. Like, to me, that's much more energetic. There could be emotions in there too, but it's like, even if okay, I know this person is not good for me, but there is this pull, there is something bringing me back to them. So that's when, like, we cut those cords and we release them, and maybe we have to cut cords, maybe in like 2 or 3 weeks or a month, we have to recut those cords, especially if, like, you saw this person again, or you texted with them, or you had a phone call, whatever that may be. But when we cut the cord, it's like, oh, all of a sudden, I don't care about texting them. I don't need to call them. They're not in my frequency anymore. They're not, maybe a little bit easier. They're not in the aura. They're not in my personal space. They are not hanging all over me, even though they're not here.
Now, when we want to get rid of someone and we don't want anything else to do them, we can just stop thinking about them if that we're allowed to. But what
Right.
if the other person continues to think about you or try to get a hold of you? Will that reconnect a cord on their end to you?
Yeah. So again, if someone is thinking about you and you're like, I'm over them, again, we would want to do a cord cutting. And then it's really important, I would say, that we put something, and this is, I feel like, where there might be the disconnect. I don't think people always talk about this, but this is where we need to put something in its place. And it could be,
Hmm.
a color, it could be an image, it could be, you just like holding the energy of unconditional love, it could be like so many different things. But that might be part of the disconnect. Okay, I did this cord cutting, this person is no longer here. But then did you put something in its place so that something doesn't grow? There's then a void within you, right? And then it could also be that you're just too energetically open to that person or that frequency. And so it might be about working and learning about boundaries, right? So that you're not so open. Maybe them thinking about you is making you realize, oh, well, this person can email me. I don't want them to email me anymore, so I'm going to block them. And you don't have to take it like that extreme, but oh, maybe like we're friends on social media, and so that's like an open door for them to just like knock, or like a window, like come through a window, right? If you think you closed the door. So maybe we just need to close some windows and put some shutters up. So things that you're not so available to this person.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like pretend a storm is coming and put up your storm shutters, right?
Totally.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, for people that I know, a lot of people know a lot about this. It's getting more and more common. But for people that don't, just going through kind of a daily life and being energetically bombarded all the time in crowds in a shopping center as you walk, how would they protect themselves just from those random energies that are associated with that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw out a bunch of different things, and if it doesn't resonate, then it's not for you, right, listeners? But I would say I've also evolved and changed. So as I've gotten more into this realm and I've gotten more attunements, I've become more open. Like I didn't know. So this kind of started where I started importing olive oil from Spain.
Mm,
And then my friend was doing Reiki certifications, and I'm like, great, we'll infuse the olive oil with Reiki. Everybody needs to have Reiki infused olive oil. This is going to be great. I didn't know there was going to be like there's like three, but I didn't know that I was going to go through level 1 and 2 and get those attunements, right? And go through these like really intense chakra cleanses. So I was like, woo, I'm so open. I mean, it's been an amazing experience, but there was just a little bit of that lack of education. So like I was wide open. So a lot of what I've had to do is, and I was already an empath and didn't even realize it, but a lot of what I've had to do is, okay, I'm doing this right now. And then as you get more involved in certain things, so the world, the energy of the collective changes, you change what you have to do. Maybe you take something away, maybe you add something. So you could literally wand yourself with selenite in the
mm,
morning, at night. You could have it in your purse. You could have it at the bedside table. You could put it in your bra. I have like tons of crystals in my bra and in my purse and on my person all the time. Those other two crystals I talked about, I always wear black tourmaline and I always wear hematite because when I went through that crystal healing training, that was like huge for me because all of a sudden it was protecting me in crowds. It was blocking me. You could literally call on white light. You could call on golden white light. You could call on a high vibrational color or light that you are connected to. You could literally just say, I am protected. I am safe. I am supported. I am secure. If you are connected with the archangels, I work with Archangel Michael, so you could call on him. If you are connected to the armor of God and God feels good to you, you could call and work with the armor of God. If that doesn't feel good to you and you're more of like a source, universe, higher power, totally understand. Um, Let me see. I think those are most of them. I do some other like clearing. Oh, you could go and take showers and imagine that the water is clearing you. You could write down your day, right? And you could burn it in the fire. You could literally ask again, you could write and ask for that protection for your day. But you could imagine a bubble of protection. That's something that I do in certain sessions where we literally, like when we're going someplace um, spiritually or energetically, that we have this bubble so that if anything that we witness doesn't actually attach to us, it's just more for knowledge. So you could do that as well.
wonderful. And people don't realize the power of the spoken word. You know, you're talking about speak certain things, and I'm protected. I'm here, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm safe. So I like that you're bringing that up because not everybody realizes how powerful the spoken word is. But Tori, we're almost out of time. I can't believe it. This went so fast. And you have so much amazing information. And for anyone who's watching this, I have all her information in the description, which will be put up on YouTube. So I would love for you to get a hold of her. But Tori, before you leave, you're so knowledgeable and you're so well rounded. Just give us some of your nuggets, maybe from when you started and how you handled things. What do you suggest to people?
Yeah, I don't. So the message that's coming through to me is
Mhm.
well, I mean, if you don't have crystals, get some crystals, right? But and I would say activate them, ask them to help you. A lot of times people get crystals and they use them and they're like, yeah, I got my crystals, and I'm like, yeah, but they're like passively sending you good vibes, but like I want you to get them in your life and actively ask them to help you even if you don't know what they do. So I would say that's one. I guess we're really like all about asking and spoken word today. The other thing I would say is you have a huge team with you that wants to help you, whether it's benevolent ancestors, spirit guides, ascended masters, universe, like all these different things. And so ask them, be a co-creator. You are not here to experience things by yourself, and you are not here to have to do everything on your own. So ask them to help you and give that guidance, whether it's writing a letter to them, speaking to them, or just saying like, I am really going through it right now and I could use some help. And I think if you work with them and be a co-creator, it also makes you realize and understand that you are not alone. You are not going through this alone, and you don't walk alone, even if you feel like, wow, I'm feeling very lonely right now.
That's amazing. Yeah. Use your spoken word. And I've been, told many times, unless you ask, they are not going to help. So bring them in. That's what they're here for. Tory, thank you so much for your time. I always appreciate someone's time, but I really appreciate someone who has so much wisdom and knowledge. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for giving us all this information that, it so many people can benefit from this, and I know you're here to help. So it's been a pleasure. I loved it. I always learn something. So thank you so much, Tory.
Thank you.